Hello, my loves. Welcome back to Valerie's Craft Corner. Today we will be working with Shrinky Dinks. And we will be making things you can make with them. Here's earrings, and I'm wearing them just to show you that they're functional, rainbow colors, and it says resist down the side because, that's my brand. I'll show you how to make a bookmark and a key ring. Now, before I get started, you're gonna need some additional things. If you're making a bookmark, you're gonna need some yarn. If you're making the key ring, you're gonna need the actual ring for the keys. And if you are making an earring or earrings, you need the actual jewelry hook to be able to put onto the Shrinky Dink to then attach it to your ears. All right, first thing we're gonna make, or first things you should know. Shrinky Dink, it says it in the title, it's gonna shrink. So you need to bear that in mind. For example, this sheet of Shrinky Dink, I use this bookmark going down, just using the width size of it, not the long side, but the shorter side. And this was how it came out. So that's the amount of shrinkage, at least 3 times. It's like 3 times smaller than what you started with. So you want to bear that in mind. Today we're going to make a bookmark using the longer side to see what the difference is. Now, let's say you don't have any artistic ability. You're like, but Valerie, I can't draw. Okay. With Shrinky Dinks, you don't have to. You have to be able to trace. Okay? So I already got started on this bookmark. I'm just going to show you how I trace the image. You see it lines up? I trace the image from this photo. You can use magazine. You could use a photograph. I made a keychain for a friend and her partner, and she really, really loved it. It was just a photo of them, and I colored it in and gave it to her. It was pretty dope. Very simple gifts that people can enjoy and use. That's the beauty of them, is that they're actually very usable. So I got started on my bookmark already. Showed you the image that I use. So you're gonna cut your Shrinky Dink paper. It's 2-sided, or 2 textures, I should say. On one side, it is shiny and smooth like glass. On the other side, it is rough. Notice you can't see any sheen. It is the rough side that you're going to use to apply your color, because the reason why it's made rough is so that the color will adhere. Then you're going to heat it up, and then it's going to shrink. Now, I've mentioned a few things that you can make with Shrinky Dinks, but you can make a ton of things. There's a period of time in the cooking process where it becomes very malleable, and you can take it out and you can actually bend it or shape it into different shapes, like make a bracelet. We won't be doing that today. We're going to stick with the basics, but feel free to explore once you feel more comfortable. So, because I never throw anything away, I have this bookmark that I cut out of 1/2 of the long side of the Shrinky Dink, except this piece of paper had, this piece of Shrinky Dink had a little piece missing. So I'm just going to embrace that being missing and continue on. So you're going to, on the rough side, take the image that you want, you're going to trace it. This Shrinky Dink originally was from, I think, France, because the instructions were in French. And it says that you can only use colored pencils. But I've seen online that you can use markers and the like. So this is a 50/50. The white pages of my books are made by the marker. You can see the color is just a little bit more intense. So I'm going to see if the color sticks or if it wears off or things like that. Now, You apply the color to the rough side. I'm just giving it a little bit more couleur. I'm gonna advise you to stay away from very, very dark colors. You definitely want to see it, but like, maybe just use black for the outline. And the reason why I say that is because as it gets smaller, as it shrinks, everything shrinks. And so if it's dark, it becomes super muddy and hard to see. For example, this was an homage to Keith Haring and his dancing figures, and it says dance right there. But it becomes harder to see the images, even though they were all separately, like these are some bright colors, whatever. You just want to pay attention and leave some space between the things. So here's my bookmark. It's essentially done. Hopefully you have essentially done your bookmark too. You've traced out an image, you've colored it. My last thing I'm going to do before I put my 3-hole punch in, and you need a 3-hole punch, or you need something that you could use to allow you to put a hole in the Shrinky Dinks so that it can be pierced later. Shrinky Dink edges are very pointy and hard. And so before I cook them, I like to round those edges. So I just take the scissors and I just cut the edge off. Now, again, this one didn't have a perfect thing to begin with, but now I'm ready to do I have my image. I'm ready to put my 3-hole punch, except my 3-hole punch went missing. So I'm going to show you what I am going to do instead. I'm going to take a chapstick lid and I am going to trace it onto this paper using a marker, and then I'm going to cut within that. I am putting cardboard down so that when I cut, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife because I don't have a 3-hole punch. And that way, when I use the X-Acto knife, it does not go through and damage the table because I've used the cardboard. Now, you see that I have the hole already marked out. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. If you are young or feel nervous about this part of the process, then feel free to have someone older help you, or somebody with a steadier hand. So I basically am just going to take the X-Acto knife, pressing on it inside and follow the shape of the circle. Does it need to be absolutely perfect? No, but we're going to try to go for something circular. So I just take my X-Acto knife and I go around the image. I don't know if you can see that I've cut it. So now it didn't go all the way through, but it did pierce the top because it's rather thick, the paper. So I'm just going to do it one more time, going around that circle. And then I'm just going to hopefully pop it out. It's funny, the things that, oh, there it goes. So it's peeling, it's popping out. There you go. There's your hole. Seems really large, but again, it's going to shrink up. This hole is very small. I use the same process. Okay, so that is essentially a bookmark. You follow the very same process for a key ring. I would suggest using 1/4 of the paper, maybe a little bit less. Okay, So this would be an appropriate mount for a keychain, depending on how big you wanted it to be. So I'm going to use one of these for a keychain and one to show you an earring. I saw a design for an earring the other day that I thought was super cute. So I'm just going to find my fine black marker so that I can outline it for you very quickly. I'm going to show you what it is in a moment. I'm going to use the rough side of my paper. And I'm going to draw my image, but you can trace your image. So, there is my fish bowl and my 3 fish. And I'm going to turn these into earrings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color, I'm going to use my colored pencils. And I'm going to color in my fish inside and I'm going to draw some water. And I'm going to color in. So, coloring in the fish, I'm coloring in the water. And I want to make my fish to have as much contrast. I want to make my fish very different colors than the water. So since my water is blue, my fish are going to not be blue. So I have a red orangey fish. I have a yellow fish. And I'm going to try for purple. Okay, so I'm just going to color a little bit around the fish a little more. Okay, now I am going to cut around the earring. But I'm going to leave a little bit of space at the top because I need to make the hole for the earring, like for the metal part to go through. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute in terms of cutting around it. Okay, so there's my fish bowl. I actually could cut it a little bit better at the bottom. Okay, there's my fish bowl. And then I'm going to use this top part, this empty space. That's where I'm going to draw my hole so that I can make sure that I can pierce it later. So maybe I kind of feel like my fishbowl needs a little darkening, but we'll see when it comes out. All right, so I have my chapstick. So again, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. Now, 3-hole punch would be divine. Absolutely. Save this moment. But in lieu of that, we will use our chapstick, our X-Acto knife, and cardboard. So I'm just going to cut out and if it's not as big as that, I think that's fine because I think the earring one is probably the one that needs to be the least big in terms of openings. So if you use something smaller than a chapstick lid, I think that would work out okay. So I go through it twice using my cardboard so that it doesn't damage anything. Okay, so it ripped out a little bit, right? Like that's the piece that came out because this top part wasn't cut enough by the X-Acto knife, which is totally fine. I'm just using my scissors to finish it off. And there we go. Now I'm gonna make this more so it's kind of like a fishbowl purse, okay? So you would, excuse me, make 2 of these, and so you'd have a set of earrings. But I'm just going to show you now with the one. So we have a bookmark in the works, we have an earring in the works, and then a keychain. So I already started on this piece. I really hate to like just throw things away and not use them. So I already started on this one and I was drawing the book design at first with a marker and I didn't really love it. It was very thick and didn't leave me a whole lot of flexibility. But so I'm just gonna continue making zigzags on this. I'm gonna use this as my keychain, using different colors. And I'm going to use all markers. I'm going to see what happens when it's just all markers. I'm not gonna lie, it's looking kind of crazy, but I kind of like it. And I'm gonna write something on it like my keys, my keys. I just with the colors, and then I wrote my MY keys. Again, we're going to, I'm going to 3-hole punch it or X-Acto knife it. And then I'm going to get ready to put it in the oven. Now, before I cook them, let me show you really quickly how to make your tassel for your bookmark, which is the next step once your bookmark has shrunk. So what you're going to do is first you take your length of yarn. I'm going to use 3 fingers, and I'm going to start by, you see that piece ending there, I'm going to leave it a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go around my 3 fingers several times. No exact amount. Just eyeball it. It really depends on how big you want your tassel, because that's the part we're making here. Okay, so I maybe did it 8 to 10 times. Let's say that that's the rule. You take your scissors, you cut it off. Now, you're going to I just need to move it to an easier part of my hand. So now you're going to cut one side, top or bottom, doesn't matter. And you're going to take another piece of yarn, and this should be a longer piece. And you're going to wrap it right around the middle, right? So half is on one side, half is on the other. You're going to wrap it right around the middle and make a knot. And I suggest you do it with your string in half. Okay, so the longer string is about half. Let's make that real. And now I'm going to tie a knot. And just a regular knot like you would do your shoelaces, or you would actually not like to do your shoelaces. And I'm going to make it, I'm going to do it twice. So it's a knot. And that's what it looks like, okay? Then you're going to take your tassels and fold them over. Don't worry about it if it's uneven here. You can take care of that in a minute if you need to. You can take another piece of yarn. Doesn't need to be nearly as long. And right holding the tassel part down and all together, basically what you're going to do is you're going to tie a knot around here to give it the tassel feel. So again, like not even like half an inch down from the original knot you tied in the middle. I wrap it around 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then I just tie it in a knot. And I double knot it to make sure it doesn't come out. And then when you're done, the excess of that can actually just hang down into the tassel. Now again, this tassel is not all straight. So you just take your scissors and you give it a trim. All right. And then when your bookmark has heated through, you can then loop this through and tie it off, and then you'll have a bookmark tassel. So I'm going to do some heating. What you need is you need a brown paper bag. A regular brown paper bag will do. You could recycle a bag from like Trader Joe's or something like that. One of those lunch bags that you used to use. Anything like that will work well. And then this is key. You want to put a piece of parchment paper on top. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cookie sheet. You're going to lay the cookie sheet down. You're going to put brown paper bag on top of the cookie sheet. Then you're going to put the Shrinky Dinks on top of the brown paper bag. And then on top of that, place a sheet of parchment paper that covers the Shrinky Dink. And this will help the Shrinky Dink not curl up onto itself when it cooks, which sometimes it can do, and it's frightening and a nightmare. But you can, even if it does happen, you don't have parchment paper and it does that, you can just, before it completely cooks, you see it curling up on itself and like locking, not because it'll curl but then blossom back out. If you see that it's curling too long, like it's baking, like, okay, I'm about to make an egg roll, get in, open it up, just get in there with a spatula or with scissors, something that's gonna separate it, and it will easily separate. So don't worry about that. So I'm gonna come back when I'm done baking it, again, at 325 for approximately 1 to 3 minutes. You definitely wanna put the light on. You definitely wanna be looking at it. You're gonna bake it on a cookie sheet, brown paper bag, and then parchment paper on top. If you don't have parchment paper on top, it's totally cool, but you have to make sure you watch it so that it doesn't curl up on itself. Okay, I'm gonna come back with the goods. I'll see you soon.